Welcome everyone to this DevTV presentation, which provides introduction of MapGuide Fusion technology. My name is Daniel Du, working as a developer consultant in DevTech ADN. I'm based in Beijing office. My responsibility mainly focuses on following products API, MapGuide Enterprise, Civil 3D, and Map3D. Firstly, let's look at our agenda for this presentation. With the start introduction of the Fusion Viewer, then we will move on to the Fusion Viewer architecture, and then we are going to talk about how to create a Fusion-based web application and the Fusion API. After that, we are going to talk about how to create a custom widget. Finally, we will share some useful resources. As an alternative to the MapGuide Ajax Viewer, Fusion Viewer is based on Ajax technology and implemented by pure JavaScript. It can be browsed by most common browsers on different operating systems without downloading and installing any plugins. Fusion uses DIV plus CSS layout and provides multiple built-in templates with powerful functionalities from widget. It also supports consumer mapping services, such as Google Maps, Bing Maps, and etc. Fusion is a web mapping application developing framework for MapGuide open source and MapGuide Enterprise, built primarily in JavaScript. Fusion Viewer is more user-friendly and flexible. It also is known as Flexible Web Layout in MapGuide Studio, as an alternative to MapGuide Basic Layout. Fusion supports different operating systems, including Windows, Macintosh, and Linux, and it can be browsed with major browsers, including Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, and Google Chrome. No plugin needed. As you know, for layout, FrameSite is not a good solution. DIV plus CSS is better. Using CSS and div tags reduce markup code, speed up page downloads, separate content from its visual presentation, and brings your code closer to web standards. At the same time, it also makes your website more appealing to search engines better. Five built-in templates are shipped with MapGuide Enterprise. You can use them easily and directly. Fusion Viewer is also customizable, which makes it possible to create your own template. The powerful functionality of the Fusion Viewer comes from widgets. There are plenty of widgets which are built in the default templates and shipped with the product, including pan, zoom, mirror, query, buffer, theme, and etc. It is also possible to create your own custom widgets to extend the functionality of the Fusion. As online map services are more and more popular today, MapGuide Enterprise 2011 provides users the capability to choose vector map, satellite map, and hybrid map from Google Maps, Yahoo Maps, and Bing Maps as a base map, and then overlay their own MapGuide layers on top of the commercial layers. Fusion Viewer is based on OpenLayers, which is a client-side JavaScript library. OpenLayers make it easy to put a dynamic map in any web page. OpenLayers is a pure client-side and independent with the server-side. It is an open-source project. All the source code can be downloaded from the website. Fusion uses one subset of the OpenLayers, and it allows users to access OpenLayers API as well. GXLab is a JavaScript library for creating graphic user interfaces. Many convenient client-side UI components are introduced, such as panels, buttons, splitters, tabs, menus, and etc. Now, let's look at the Fusion Viewer architecture. We have a convenient tool, Flexible Layout Editor in MapGuide Studio to also maps and the Fusion Viewer. Fusion Viewer includes the following four parts: the application definition, the dev skeleton, the CSS file, which is known as cascading style sheet, and the GX JavaScript library. With the flexible web layout editor, we can create and edit our favorable web layout for the mapping application. It determines the viewer's features and contents, and generates the application definition XML for the Fusion viewer. To create a flexible web layout, firstly, we need to specify a map for the flexible web layout, and then add some widgets to provide various functionalities. There are many built-in widgets available in MapGuide Enterprise, and they are also customizable and extensible. We will talk about this topic later. Here is the basic structure of application definition XML. An application definition conforms to the application definition.xsd schema, which can be found at the server folder of the MapGuide server. Now let's look at these sections. Title tag contains a string value used to set the title of the web page when application is running. The map set tag contains subtags that define maps to be used in the application. Widget set tag presents a visible map in the user interfaces and describes the widgets to be associated with the map. Extension tag contains extra parameters that are not part of the defined schemas of the application definition. Here is an example of the map set. Which map is used in the Fusion viewer is defined here. Please pay attention to the words marked as red. And this is a collection of widgets, which provide functionalities in our mapping applications. We have a buffer, a measure, and a list selection in the context menu here. Application definition can be stored in MapGuide's repository or stored as an external XML file. MapGuide Studio is the preferred method to creating an application definition because its user interface manages the complexity of the underlying XML structure. Using MapGuide Studio is simple to add new widgets to existing flexible web layout or modify existing widgets. The resulting application definition is stored as an application definition resources in the Autodesk MapGuide site repository. However, it is also possible to store an application definition in an external form as application definition XML file. The default templates all include an application definition XML file. Changing the flexible web layout using MapGuide Studio will change the application definition resources, which is stored in the MapGuide site repository, but will not have any effect on the external application definition XML file. Normally, when a flexible web layout loads in the browser, It checks for application definition resources name passed as parameters to the home page of the Fusion viewer. If it exists, then the application definition is loaded from the site repository. However, if the application definition path is not passed to the home page of the Fusion viewer, then the flexible web layout looks for the application definition XML file, which is located in the same folder as the index.html file. Dev tags are used to define the containers. They are organized with the parental relationships to build the skeleton of the home page. The order doesn't matter, and the parental relationship does. These containers will be replaced with actual HTML code during the runtime. Here's an example of dev skeleton. The look and feel of the page is determined by CSS file, known as cascading style sheet. It is possible to change the visual styles by changing the CSS file. Here is an example of CSS file. We defined the background, the color, font size, and etc. As we said, GXLab is a JavaScript library for creating graphic user interfaces. Many convenient client-side UI components are introduced, such as panels, buttons, splitters, tabs, menus, and etc. It initializes containers, hooks up containers with widgets, and sets up event handlers. To add GX for the Fusion application, here are 4 steps to add GX in Fusion applications. 1. Reference fusion.js JavaScript library. 2. Invoke layout creation in window.onload event. 3. Create and initialize containers. 4. Set up event handlers. We will take a close look at these steps. Firstly, add reference to the fusion.js. You can use the compressed version in product environment to save bandwidth and improve performance. Secondly, initialize Fusion in window onload event. Thirdly, create layouts using GX JavaScript library. And fourthly, set up Fusion events for Fusion initialize and Fusion error. Now, let's create our first Fusion web application. MapGuide supports .NET, Java, and PHP as server-side language. In this presentation, we choose .NET. Firstly, we create a common ASP.NET website using Widget Studio. And then add MapGuide references to copy all the MapGuide.NET assemblies to bin folder of our web application. Thirdly, writing code to initialize the web tier and calling MapGuide APIs. Finally, and start the Fusion viewer. When viewing a flexible web layout, authentication dialog box will jump out and ask you to input username and password to connect to MapGuide server. To avoid these login dialogs in product environment, you can use the following method. Create a user information, Open the site and create a session string, and pass the session string to Fusion Viewer as a parameter. Now let's look at a demo. In this demonstration, I will show you how to create a simple Fusion-based web application. Firstly, we need to prepare a flexible web layout. You can create a flexible web layout using MapGuide Studio very easily. Here I choose the slate as my template. I select a map. Select Sheboygan map as my map. Okay, and save it. By these simple steps, I have created my very simple flexible web layout. And now I need to embed this flexible web layout into my own web application. So I'll start Visual Studio and create a new website. I'll create a new ASP.NET website. I'll create a web application. I would like to use C#. This is just a common ASP.NET website. I need to add the reference to the MapGuide assembly. I need to add the ASP.NET folder, add a bin folder, and copy all the MapGuide assemblies to this bin folder. I don't want to write out the code here, so I paste prepared code here. I have a utility class to initialize the web here. So I added the utility class. Add my existing one. I need to use the namespaces. And let's look at this method. I press F12. And this method initializes MapGuide web tier use the current HTTP request context. I need to initialize the MapGuide web tier use the webconfig INI. So I need to copy the webconfig INI from MapGuide website to my own website. Okay, set this default page as my start page. Let's look at the code. Firstly, I specify the web layout I'll change to my web layout that I just created. Copy it here. And this is the default user and default password. First, initialize the web tier. Create a user information and use this user information to connect to the MapGuide site. And create a session string. And then pass the session string to the Fusion viewer. Okay, let's run it to see what happened. Now my first Fusion-based web application works. There are many built-in functionalities provided by the Fusion viewer, such as select, buffer, mirror, feature information, query, theme, redline, and etc. Next, I will demonstrate how to add a custom functionality in the task pane. Let's move back to the flexible web layout. Add a new item to the task pane. Select a new invoke URL. Let's name it as show map information. Description and the URL. I would select the target as into task pane or save the flexible web layout. Now I need to create my map information web page. I have a prepared one, so I add an existing item. Firstly, I initialize web tier and get the session string, connect to the MapGuide site, and create resource services. And then we'll create an empty map object. We open the map object using the map name, and they will get the map object. So then we can get the information of the map. Let's run it and see what happens. I forgot to add this button into the task pane. I'll add this tool into the task pane. Just drop it here. Save it. Now my custom functionality are listed here. When I click this menu, this item, the current maps information will be listed here, including the maps SRS and the maps layer list. Now let's look at the Fusion Viewer API. The global Fusion object is created when you include the fusion.js in your pages and initialize your application by calling the fusion.initialize. We can get the Fusion object by calling following code streams. It is more specific to how your page is organized. Here are some important methods and events of the Fusion object. Register for event used to register a callback function for events emitted by Fusion itself. Deregister for event used to remove a callback associated with an event. Ajax request method is a helper function for calling server-side scripts using XML HTTP requests. And get map ID is get the map by specified ID. We met these two events in previous slides, Fusion Initialize and Fusion Area. Here are some important methods and events of the map component. Load map calls the map component to load the specified map definition. Reload map calls the map component to reload the current map definition. And the set extents used to set the map extents to a particular bounding box. And the query used to query the map in some way and create or modify a selection. The map loaded event. The map component triggers this event when the map has been loaded and is ready. The map component triggers the map extents changed event for any navigation that changes the current extents. Map resets. The map component triggers this event when the size of the map is changed. As you know, we have a Viewer API for Ajax Viewer, which includes many client functionalities such as refresh, zoom to view, digitize, and etc. These useful APIs are also available in Fusion Viewer. The source code file is also provided with the product. Now let's talk about how to create custom widgets. The many built-in widgets are shipped with the MapGuide Enterprise, and it is also possible to create a custom widget. A widget corresponds to the modular piece of the functionality that may be dropped into a web application. The framework comes with the default set of widgets, providing functionalities such as pan and zoom. The widgets can be very simple or very complex, depending on your task. Next, we'll talk about the folder structure of the widget info XML, how to implement in JavaScript, and add server-side logic if needed. Custom widgets must be defined in JavaScript file and inherited from the base class Fusion.widget. Widget used as the button must set its UI class property to gx.button. Here is a simple example. It can also access server-side logic if needed. The server-side logic for built-in widgets is implemented by PHP, but it can be other languages, for example, .NET or Java. We will demonstrate a custom widget use .NET server-side logic later. To deploy the custom widget, the JavaScript file name must be the same with the widget name, and then copy the widget to the specified folder to deploy it. To use our custom widgets in MapGuide Studio, we need to create a widget info XML file and place it into the widget folder to declare its existence to MapGuide Studio. Custom parameters need to be defined in widget info as well, so that it can be input in MapGuide Studio. The screenshot demonstrates the folder structure of the widget. Now, let's look at the demonstration of a custom widget. Let's look at how to create a custom widget. Firstly, we will look at what the custom widget does. We have created a Harvard widget. When the widget is clicked, it will print this message. We can edit the message here. And we have another custom widget. We'll show you how it works. We refresh. And our custom widget shows up. When I click the custom widgets, a hello message will show up. Okay, it works. Now, let's look at the code. Firstly, we will look at the widget info XML. Here we have parameter sections. First, we have a message, so it can be added in MapGuide Studio. Now look at the JavaScript file. When the widget is activated, it will alert a message. It's very simple. Now let's look at how it works. Refresh the web page. And click over Customer Widget. A message will show up. It works. This widget is just JavaScript. There is no server-side logic. Next, I will show you a customer widget with server-side logic. Let's see this customer widget. In this widget, have two parameters. One is message, another is target. This message will list all the future information which are selected on the map. Edit. Let's look at the code. Firstly, look at the widget info XML. We have two parameters. One is message, another is target. And look at the code, the JavaScript code. When it's activated, it will unspecified URL in the specified target. And this URL will contain the server-side logic. I have set up the web application using .NET. Let's check it out. And this is just a common MapGuide website based on MapGuide Web Extension API. Let's look at the server-side code. Firstly, we'll retrieve the session and map name and initialize the web tier and connect to the MapGuide server. And here is the list the selections of the map. Okay, let's demonstrate how it works. We'll refresh. This customer widget shows up. Firstly, we need to select some features on the map. select some features. And run this custom widget. All the selected features in information are shows up. Here are some useful links for Fusion technology. You can get more information of the Fusion, OpenLayers, and GX library from these links. You can also check the MapGuide Enterprise website and MapGuide Best Practice Wiki, or to see the live demonstration that MapGuide Central is a custom search engine to help search MapGuide information more quickly. So with that, we are drawn to the end of this DevTV presentation. I do hope you found it useful and interesting to try it and look further into this technology. Have a nice day.